Hello everyone and welcome to episode 22 of Trapped in My Mind. I'm your host Seth, and today with me I got my good buddy Keyur.
What's up?
What's up, Keyur?
Not much.
I'm glad you came out. We've been kind of chatting about it for a while now, so
Yeah.
you had to get episode 22 for a specific reason. Is that just your favorite number?
Yeah, favorite number, it's the number I look out for and everything. If I'm having a bad morning or something, see a 22 on a license plate, I'm like, guess what? It's going to be a good day.
Okay, so is that like a lucky number or just...
I guess.
Does it stand for anything?
10/22 is my birthday, so like 22.
Okay.
It's like a powerful number, I guess, in numerology. I read about that.
Oh, okay. Is it?
Apparently so 22.
All right. See, I like the number 2.
Yeah.
And 22 is just 2 of those, so I fuck with 22. So here we are, episode 22. Before you, or right when you came over, we started chit-chatting a little bit about COVID and kind of briefly our thoughts about that. And then we were kind of going down a path that I thought might have been valuable to have on here. So we can probably just pick up with that.
For sure.
I don't even know where to start. So with this whole COVID thing, I know when we went to DC and visited Carla, and like when we went there, at least from my perspective, it seemed like DC was pretty much like masked up. Like everyone was wearing masks around the city.
Yeah. And
I thought that was kind of crazy. And again, this is just my opinion here. I don't know all of these facts when it comes to COVID and how serious it is and how serious we need to take it. But I thought it was a little bit of an overkill. So I don't know if we want to start from there, if there's something that you want to bring forward. But you might have an idea of where to start more than I do, because I'm terrible at starting with shit.
From what we were talking about like the vaccine and stuff, right? So we were talking about how, why would you need it if you need like a third shot or something, right? Or like if we have to keep on getting yearly shots, then why is it mandatory or something, right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, if it's not gonna, I agree with you on that. So if it's not gonna completely cure you or something, which no vaccine does, then why would this be like a mandatory, right? If you can still be asymptomatic after you get the vaccine.
Yeah.
100% agree with you. Then why is it being forced on everyone, right?
Yeah. That's the biggest thing I think for me is like, and again, this is just what I know, so maybe I'm ignorant, but from everything I've seen, COVID and its infection rate in terms of like mortality, right? Or not infection rate, but mortality rate is not significantly more than like the average flu, right? Is that your understanding, or am I missing something?
I think a normal flu case, or like a normal season of flu, is like 160 to 300 or something like that deaths every year. And no one ever talked about that or anything like that, right? Because we got used to it, I feel like, or something like that. And I guess COVID is just so new. So maybe in a few years, when we still have like 300,000 deaths, no one's going to talk about it,
Yeah.
I don't know, though. But yeah, how we were talking about like the vaccine and stuff and like vaccine passports and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, how is that going to help any of these situations? Like to get cases down or like death rates down and stuff like that, which I question as well.
Yeah, well, I think the idea behind that is like, it's almost kind of like incentivized to get a vaccine. Oh, you want to travel, you want to do these things, so you need to get a vaccine. Which, if this was like a product and we're being marketed something, then I agree that's the right approach. But this isn't a product. This is something that, like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's like a product. It is a product, but it shouldn't be marketed as such. It's not just something that we do out of enjoyment. It's something that we're being told we need. Yeah. But we don't really have much of a say. It's like, It's almost like here's a product and you should get it, but also we're kind of forcing you to get it if you want to have your normal freedoms, which is weird because if it is as similar as like the regular flu and we don't treat the flu as that, then why are we treating this as that? It's like, it's very, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's just weird how we treat one thing that's very similar to the other completely different.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's so fresh, that's how everything is. Like, whatever is like the trending topic or something, right? I guess like everyone has to be like talking about it for that time being. Yeah. So like, I don't know if you saw I think it was on Twitter or something, but like this one executive from CNN went on like a Tinder date with this girl, and she had a hidden camera, and she asked like, oh, do you think like your network is like a propaganda machine pretty much, or like do you guys like force stuff on this one thing? He was like, yeah, like, before we elected Trump, it was all about making sure Hillary sounded good and all that stuff, blah blah blah. After Trump was elected, it was all of our stuff, all the content we were pushing out was to make sure that we got Trump out of office. And now everything they're pushing out is how Biden, in the future, after all this COVID and all this stuff is gone, it's going to be all about climate change. Like, that's what they're going to constantly keep on pushing out. And I was talking about with this one of my friend Carla today earlier, and she's like, "Well, I think that's a good thing." I'm like, "Yes, it's a good thing, but what is fundamentally going to change? Nothing is going to fundamentally change. It's just going to make the average person more nervous, more scared. Like people are scared to go outside now.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you scared to go outside? You're not going to get COVID from going outside. Like, you know?"
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. And like, I know Carla, so I can just imagine her like rebuttal to, or like not rebuttal, but support of this initiative that's being pushed. And I would agree. Like, I think if we can be more green, right, that's a good thing. But again, spreading paranoia as a means of getting people to buy in to what you're trying to spread is almost like counterproductive, because for one,
Well, it's not counterproductive for them though, because they're profiting off of that, right? They're profiting off your fear.
yeah. So okay, so I guess profit wise, maybe it's not counterproductive, but actual action wise, it is, because immediately when you make such a strong like claim, like, hey, you need to change your lifestyle like this, you're always gonna have like pretty much half the country saying no,
Right.
I'm not doing that because you're telling me I have to, and I don't like being told what to do. And the other half will be like, okay, well, I'm really fucking scared, and there's experts saying this, so I guess I'll do it. So maybe, business standpoint, yeah, it's not, or it's not, it's effective, but if they're actually trying to accomplish what they're saying they're trying to accomplish, then I don't think it's very effective, because you're already pitting people against one another, which maybe that's the goal. I don't know.
I feel like that is part of the goal, because like if you watch like CNN or MSNBC or something, right? Like, and then if those people hate on people who are watching Fox News, if you like watch one or the other, it's the same exact thing. Like they're just, the bias is so strong. Like I have a friend's mom who every time I go over, she has Rachel Maddow on. Okay,
I don't know who that is.
it's, you don't want to know, it's okay, but like she will so strongly like hate on like Tucker Carlson or whatever other like people on Fox News. But like if you're like taking in their information they're giving you, it is the exact same like format. Everything they're saying is so like strong on their like emotions and their like what they're trying to push out, and their views is like, it's not information. It is informational, but it's so biased. Like, like to that point, it's not even informational. It is just propaganda they're pushing out in a way, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like we were talking about people not being able to have their own opinions and stuff. Like, you think you're forming your own opinion, but it's really not. Like, we're constantly scrolling through all these screens and everything, right? Like, we might think like everything has to be what everyone else is doing or everyone else is saying, right? Like, if you speak out, like, we'll probably get hate for saying like all this stuff about COVID, right? But like, it's fair. Like, these are questions that you should be asking and like trying to get an answer from, not just one straightforward answer, if you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, and I would say, well, me and you are pretty much similar in the way we think about the whole COVID thing. So it might not be much of a debate, but I will say the people who I know that are like, it's not a question, like you should mask up, you should be socially distanced, you should be getting your vaccine. Their like reason for believing that, and the reason I'm so dumb or so naive or so resistant, because I question those things. And listen, I wear a mask when I go in public. I've gotten my first vaccine, get my second one soon. Like, I will do these things because it causes people around me to be more at ease, which is fine. Their reasoning is, well, Fauci and like all these experts, these scientists are saying that it's, we have to take precautions. So why would you argue science? And it's like, okay, but there's scientists that say, like, any point ever, there's a scientist that says yes, and there's a scientist that says no, that's not right.
And that's science.
So it's like, I always end up losing the conversation, because it's like, I don't bring a fucking scorecard to this debate and like, well, this scientist said otherwise, or actually Fauci said before the exact opposite of what he's saying now. So right. It's like, I'm just like, dude, no. Why are you also? That's the thing too, is why are we bad for just asking questions about certain things that we don't understand? For example, COVID. But if we say they're bad, like, people, I don't want to politicize this, but if I'm saying somebody who does care about COVID and thinks it's super serious, if I say like they're being obnoxious, they're being crazy, well, then I'm bad again. It's like, no matter what I say, unless I abide by what they're saying, I'm bad.
And I think that has to do with like our such a strong presence in like social media, or like just all the content we're constantly consuming without even realizing, like again, like going back to just following what society, like everyone else in society is doing. Like if you're trying to speak out, then you're wrong, you're shunned. And I feel like that everyone hates that, but it's getting stronger and stronger throughout the months and weeks, you know? Like, I guess, cancel culture? Cancel culture?
Yeah. Do you think, because hearing you say that kind of just brought this up to my mind, do you think the more people are talking about how we hate it, the stronger it's getting? Like, because, like, so for example, any publicity is good publicity, right? Nothing's bad.
Right.
Almost the same effect. If we keep talking about the shit that makes us pissed off, are we making it stronger because we're bringing it to the forefront of every conversation? Even if we're against it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I feel like it's that way because we're not willing to accept other ideas in a way. Or I guess people are afraid to form their own opinion that way, or like speak out. If I don't know, repeat your question again, I guess. Or
so I was just wondering, because you said that you were saying that we talk about this all the time, and
right.
It still seems that like cancel culture is getting more and more prevalent, right? It's happening more and more, and people are still being divided. So I'm just wondering if, because we bring it up so much, whether it be we support these things or we don't support these things, by bringing up the topic in general, it's making it more divisive. I might be off on a tangent here.
No, I get what you're saying. I agree with that, but like, I guess a good example would be like that YouTuber. Oh, I forgot his name the other time. I was thinking of him too. With Jason and all them, like, you know, like why am I forgetting his name?
You're not thinking like
David Dobrik.
Okay.
Right? So everyone loved David Dobrik. Everyone knew what he was doing in his video. Do you watch his videos, right?
No, because I kind of thought he was annoying.
So did I. I thought he was annoying too, because he was cool in the beginning.
See, I thought he was fake exactly. Nice, and I didn't buy what he was selling.
If you watch his videos a few years ago, you could tell, like, even they're a little fake, they're not staged to the extent they were staged now.
Yeah.
Like the latest videos. But like you can tell he was doing, like, these are all scripted. Like YouTube is a big business now, right?
Yeah.
Like, these videos aren't just random and made up. Like there's a whole team behind these videos. So like people knew what he was doing, and like I'm sure they knew way beforehand, but now everybody says one thing online, and it was true, but like everyone has to follow that, right? Like and then now I guess there's other people on his like team that are trying to sue him for like getting hurt and injured and stuff, but like you knew what you were signing up for, you knew what you were doing. So like now what are you trying to refute against him? Did you not make your money or something, or like what?
Yes,
I wonder.
I don't know much. I don't really know anything about his situation.
Yeah.
I saw him trying to
much either.
Yeah, and I saw like people are pissed off at him for something, and then he had like a bullshit apology. I don't know what it was about, but I will say just about cancel culture in general. I think it's because no one wants to stand out on an island in their own opinion. So that's why we don't have our own opinions, because it's just kind of like everyone wants this is just my opinion. I think everybody wants like a sense of belonging and community. So it's like, well, I don't really know what my opinion is, but there's more people who have that opinion, so I will face less backlash. And if push comes to shove and we have to start arguing, I can just kind of fall and let my peers take this argument because I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know. I think people are afraid to share, and honestly, so here on this podcast, like I'll send people like lists of topics, right, and they'll be like, well, I don't know that I'm qualified to speak on that. It's like, why?
Yeah.
I've prefaced this podcast several times saying that there's no experts. None of us are experts on here, and I think that's why I want to start this. Is what is your opinion? And if you are ashamed to share your opinion, it's because you don't really believe in it.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying anybody specifically, but I mean it's no surprise that we've like on the podcast and the episodes I've had, it's been very similar conversations, mostly centered around mental health or social media or something like that, because people don't want to talk about these topics that are decisive because they don't think they're qualified to speak on it. So it's weird that everybody has an opinion online but don't want to talk about that opinion because they don't want to be seen as like an idiot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think my friends all think I'm an idiot now too. I mean, I say some pretty stupid like stuff around people, like my close friends, because I don't really care. But like, like I say these things to them, you know, I'm like, all right, like why do you care about that? Like, okay, just fucking go outside, like it's not a big deal. Like go to the bar if you want, you'll be fine. And you know, they're like no, like
Mhm.
you know. So yeah, they all probably think I'm like a crazy psycho, like conspiracy theorist or something. But like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, maybe, because I have a couple friends who I would say said similar stuff, and I would say I do sometimes too. But here's a question for you, because it might seem, based on my standpoint thus far, that it's political, but it's not. So I'll pick on the other side. For the people who are against like masking up and shit like that, this is one thing that I don't understand. Is like you'll see it like, oh, you're you're a sheep, you're a dog if you give in and wear a mask, if you don't like revolt and like try to get your rights. And it's like, is it that deep?
right.
Maybe it is, but to me it's like, listen, do I agree with the policies? No. Are they taking away my rights right now to a point where it really sets me back? No. If it gets to the point, then yeah, I'll be on your side and I'll bring my pitchfork and I'll start getting pissed off. But it's like, dude, they're asking you to wear a mask.
It's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal,
Yeah.
right? That's my opinion. It's like, and I hate seeing the shit on social media. It's like, you're a fucking peasant if you just lay down and do what the government says without asking. It's like, it's okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I guess to a certain extent, because yeah, it's just a mask. Like wear it, you're fine. You'll be just take it off when you walk out of the store or whatever.
I fucking hate them too.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but I think in that aspect, it's like the bigger picture, like the grand scheme of thing of so like so everything is about power, right? Like to everyone
and
so
money,
like,
yeah,
exactly. So like, where do they see? I guess like where does this go in the next phase or whatever, right? Like what's their next goal from this? Like everyone is broken down from all this, I feel like, right? So like like the society is just so much easier to like control or whatever, like divide us even more.
Yeah.
So
well, when we're
like,
divided, we're easier to
right,
control for sure.
right. So I feel like, I guess that's where people try to say like don't be a sheep or something, or that's what I try to look at it that way, because yeah, I mean,
see, so I'll say, but if we can recognize that divided we are weaker and easier to control, then by calling the other side sheeps, that's not a very good way to get like a middle ground. So it's like you have one side of people telling everybody else that they're assholes, that they don't give a shit about others, they're selfish because they won't do these things, which again pits them against themselves. And then you have the other side of people saying you're a fucking sheep, you don't give a fuck about your rights, you're the reason that we're gonna become communist.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, guys. Now, I mean, what they're doing is working, and no matter what side you say you're on, and you can point fingers, both of our actions are pitting us against each other. And I'm not saying I'm like some supreme being that knows what to do, because I fucking don't.
yeah.
But those are things I noticed that really piss me off.
And that's the most frustrating thing for me right now too, because like everybody wants the same thing. They just want to like see their families happy and succeed and all that, right? They just want to take care of each other, like your families, I guess, and yourself. So like, even if you met with someone that had the exact same opposite views as you, if you didn't know that prior to you talking to them or something, there would be nothing holding you back from having a good time with that person, you know? And then as soon as they find out that one thing, or it's just like, all right, never mind, this person's not cool anymore, right?
Yeah, and I don't get that either.
Yeah.
I mean, I do get it, because like,
I guess for certain situations, yes, but I don't think our views on most of the stuff right now, I think they're more divided than they are. I don't know.
No, I'm saying I understand why it happens. Like, naturally, you feel good when you're with somebody that thinks alike.
Yeah.
But, like, really ask yourself, like, if you hate this person because of their belief.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you never would have known, like, so for example, let's say you hate white people, right? Well, I guess you would know I'm white right off the bat. Let's say I'm gay and you say you hate gay people, which I know you don't. I don't think. And then we have a conversation, we're friends, and then you find out I'm gay. It's like, well, I can't be around you now.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
And for any scenario, it's like, if you didn't know certain things that get you triggered about this person, why would you let one fall back in your opinion, like take them out of your life, or like why do you just take them off like why are you not interested about them anymore? I don't get that. Because isn't it better if we find like 10 things you like about somebody and one thing we don't? Like,
right.
I don't know. But I will go ahead.
That's like, I agree with you on that part too. With like another example back to the vaccine kind of thing. Like I see the tweets, people favoring tweets and stuff like, oh, like if you're not like vaccinated, I'm gonna like just assume you're a Republican or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's another thing too that's hard with social media is like, I think
that could be a joke, you know. Like I favorite a lot of tweets that are just supposed to be funny, but they sound serious and stuff, you know.
Well, yeah, that's my point. Is I think it's kind of hard because you'll have basically 4 groups of people, in my opinion, on social media, especially around like political topics. You have the left side, you have the right side, you have the joking and sarcastic side, and then you have the people who just either don't know or don't care.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, I would say I fall on the joking side too, where I will fucking make jokes about anything with no knowledge. Mm-hmm. But when people do that, it's like they don't like seeing that you're joking about something that they believe so deeply in, right, or that they say they believe so deeply in. So it's like, at what point can we just learn to take a joke?
The amount of kids from high school that have unfollowed me on Twitter.
Oh, yeah?
Like, kids that I was, like, close with is so funny. And it's just mainly because of the tweets I found, I'm assuming. Like...
That's another thing, too, is I've seen... And honestly, this is what surprises me, is there's people who, like... I feel like I know pretty well, or at least knew pretty well in high school. And I will, like, see them, like, post something. Either they typed it themselves or it's a repost to their story saying, like, if you don't believe in vaccinations or if you're a Trump supporter, fucking... unfollow me right now. Like, it's like you're gonna disassociate with somebody who you may have been really close with just because of their political beliefs. And I understand Trump is a pretty polarizing figure, but it's just like, dude, I don't know. It's like, and I think Mackenzie's dad said it well in his episode of, you can be friends with me your whole life, and if you find out that I'm a Republican, now you don't like me. What does that say about you? You hung out with me, we got along. And so all of a sudden, now that you know there's something about me you don't like, you're going to cut me off. But before then, you surround yourself with people just like the people you don't like? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was the same way. I was. If I knew you were a Republican, dude, I instantly hated you.
Oh, yeah?
Instantly. Yeah, and then I guess, like, things just kind of changed. I don't know. I started just looking into things deeper and more and, like, realizing, like, I was just kind of annoyed. Everything was the same. Like, you know, nothing was changing or anything. I'm like, why is it like this? I guess a good example would be like, remember when Trump like banned flights from China? Mm-hmm. And everyone called him racist and all that, right? Like, oh, this is whatever, like you're not doing anything to help. Well, today Biden just said he's stopping flights coming in from India. Everyone's praising him for that. So like, you know, like nothing is different. It's just, they're just pushing 2 different like stories, I guess.
Yeah.
And people just absorb that and they're like, okay, cool, this is good, this is bad.
Well, the only thing that's different is whose side it's coming from,
right,
and who it's about.
Right.
But what they're doing is pretty similar.
Right.
So...
And that hasn't changed, like, stuff like that hasn't changed in years. So, like, I don't know why people don't like to look into things like that, but instead just focus so deeply on that one thing. Like, no one's even talked about the governor of New York still. He killed so many older people in those like senior citizen homes, keeping them locked in there. But then like they started talking about how he raped, like he had like rape allegations, which is also important. But like he got praised for going on CNN saying like, oh, this guy's like saving New York from COVID. But in reality, all that data was hidden and now it's coming out and no one's reporting on it.
Because the election's not going on.
Right, but like, those are all important, right? So I'm not even talking about people reporting, but like you as a person, if you're so deeply concerned about all this stuff, why are you also not deeply concerned about that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? So you can't pick and choose. Like you have to like look into all these sides and then like, I guess form not even an opinion, but like you can't just hate on one thing and then not hate on the other as well, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or like talk bad about one thing and then
turn a blind eye.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I would say I agree with that too, because, and that's honestly, I feel like the people I see being the most passionate on social media, especially, it's passionate about like one thing, but then the other issues that need to be addressed based on their political belief, or usually it's political belief, they don't give a shit about. So it's like, do you not, like, you say that you care, but your lack of support and attention to these other problems say that you don't really care.
Probably because that's not trending, right? It's not the topic that everyone's talking about or posting about.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see anyone post any donation sites to India right now. Just like my other Indian connections, right? Like, no one else posted like how they did for like everywhere else, right?
Yeah. No. And so that's actually, I was thinking about that today, just to myself. It's different from politics, but about mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're doing something. I'm doing a lot of different things, like some things at work, some things in my own time, and it's like, or even sometimes with this podcast, it's like I feel like this podcast is to kind of promote mental health, and like recently the numbers have kind of been dwindling a little bit. I'm trying to figure out why, and maybe it could be because I'm not giving people a conversation that they think is valuable, or it's, in my opinion, it was like, well, or maybe people think, do people just not care about mental health? Because I've heard from mental health professions or people in that field, it's like, we don't have the resources, we don't have the system for it, no one gives a shit. And then I kind of thought to like my own self, it's like, well, before, I feel like I only gave a shit about mental health when I was going through something bad,
right?
And I never really thought about it other than that. And I feel like after a certain situation, I thought about it all the time, so mental health's always in my mind. Like for me anyway, is like when I'm doing good, when I'm doing bad, I'm always okay to talk about it. But I feel like for a lot of people, unless it's like right at the top of their mind, they're not gonna think about it. So whether it be mental health or politics, if it's a certain issue that's right, like that's affecting them right now, or that has a lot of attention, well then I'll pay attention to it and I'll get involved. But otherwise, it's just gonna be pushed to the to the side.
I guess that was kind of hypocritical of me, because that's definitely relatable for myself as well. But I guess if I'm not aware about it, then I don't really care. But if I'm aware, then I usually do, I guess, like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't be concerned about everything, because
Exactly.
there's just not enough time in the day.
Right.
But it is weird, like, no matter how passionate I want to be about something, if other people just don't care,
Yeah.
It's just weird, because you're like, well, why doesn't anybody care? But I'm kind of going off on a little tangent. But back to the point of like, and I'm just bouncing around here, so there's really no rhyme or rhythm to this
That's it's okay. It's perfect.
this podcast. But just because I don't want to think like I'm to the point of like sheeps and dogs like giving in.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a point where you do have to like stand up for your rights, and so. For all those people saying that masks is that point, I know it's opinion. My opinion is it's not the time to fucking, put your fist down and say that we have no rights and that we better start making changes. Because again, I something like that. I just, for one, if it eases everybody else's well-being, and it's a temporary solution, it's not that hard to comply with. Where I would start getting pissed off is when they start requiring like travel visas, like we were talking about, or like you need to have something in order to do what we're telling you that you want to do. Like, and honestly, as much as I love U of M, they said all of their students who want to go to class in person have to be fully vaccinated. It's like, okay, why? That was never a rule before. And yes, COVID's new, but how can you tell somebody who doesn't fully believe in how dangerous this is or anything like that, or against the religion, how can you tell them, well, you want to be a student here, you have to do that?
Especially since it's not even approved yet. It is.
Yeah.
It's not approved. It's not authorized by the FDA yet. It's just an emergency use thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. That's a good point.
It's just weird to me. So the reason I brought that back up is because I don't want to seem like I'm just gonna fucking lay down and die no matter what the government says. But to me personally, I don't think masks is like that crazy to where I need to fucking stand on my sword and die.
Yeah. And I think that's also why I think I mentioned saying like it's about the bigger picture, right? So like previous administrations, they've tried to do a bunch of stuff that was crazy. Like I think the Obama administration did something about I don't know it off the top of my head, but something about restricting our like online privacy and stuff like that on the internet.
Obama did that?
During the Obama presidency,
okay.
Yeah. And everyone was like, no, they did not, they did not want it. So they didn't even like bring it up again. I don't know the exact thing. It'll come up on my head, like what the name of it was. But I think it'll be pretty similar to the vaccine passports if they like bring that about. Like I think China's doing it right now all on their phones, right? So like if people have to, I don't know. I think it might be like another mass situation, honestly. I think people will just cave in and do it, but which I don't think is a big deal at all. But like, it's like, again, like talking about both sides of the thing. We were talking about it earlier, right? So like, everyone, when Georgia released their like voter ID registration stuff, like you need an ID to vote. Everyone was like, "That's so racist. That's so that blah blah blah." And then now, if these vaccine passports come about, and most likely they're going to be on our phones and stuff because they're giving all this, they're pretty much handed it all out to the tech companies, like, right, like Google, I think, and Facebook and stuff. We're trying to make apps or whatever, like databases for vaccine records. So like, how is that not racist? Who are the least who's the population not to have a smartphone or know how to use a smartphone, right? That's gonna be the less wealthy, the immigrants, whatever, the people that are the least likely to get vaccinated right now. And that's what they were worried about for the voter ID stuff, right? They were like, no, not everyone has an ID that they can show to vote. So like, what's the difference between those two things?
Yeah, so I guess just to back up a little bit on your point, I never understood why the like Georgia thing was racist, and I saw it was like a big deal in the news. And so what was that all about again? Just so my understanding's clear.
I think it's because, well, mainly I'm assuming is because if people can't, right, they say like illegal voting is like a big thing, and like it happens often. So their main goal is to say, okay, you have to show ID to vote, so we can record your vote as not being illegal.
Okay.
And then I think it was the Democrats, whoever, I don't even know, was saying like, no, this is illegal, like this is racist, this is discrimination, and everyone just ate it up and went with it, blew it up online, right? And everyone was like, okay, this is racist. Like what the MLB like.
A lot of people made statements.
Right,
a lot of companies made statements.
Exactly, and like there was no reason for that.
I thought you always need. I feel like every time I voted, I've had to bring my ID.
Exactly. I've had to show mine too, which I don't think it's required. It's not like a law written down, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm pretty sure the other states have that already as well. So again, going back with what's trending, right? Like,
yeah, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
And, I'm not even going to apologize for that because I don't understand. I really don't understand it. So was this just for online? Like if people wanted to mail in their vote, they had to have an ID, or just in general in Atlanta to vote, you had to have an ID?
I'm not sure. I think it's in general to vote, you need an ID.
And that was racist because
they tried saying it's discrimination.
But isn't again, and I'm not sure, but isn't it like in our like policies that in order to vote for presidential elections, you have to be a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
Which means you should have an ID.
Exactly. If you're living in America legally, like you would have an ID already.
So it's racist to bring up our policies.
Apparently so.
Okay.
There might be something deeper that I don't know, but like that's from the gist of what I got. That's what it was.
Okay. Well, I don't get that one. And if that's just it and there's not anything deeper,
right,
then I would say I have to disagree with I don't understand how that offends people. I mean, I get that whoever's living in the country should have a right to pick who's leading the country, but if you got here illegally, why do you have a right to say how the country's led?
Right. I think they were also trying to like push out the ideas that like, they limited like voting areas and now there's gonna be longer lines. People are gonna be less likely to go vote now and exercise their right and all that stuff. So I think they try to put like all those different things in there, but yeah, I still don't agree with it either.
So was the concern, and this might sound real dumb and get me canceled, but just to preface this, was the reason this was racist is because the majority of people who do not have an ID are like people of color?
Yes, I think that was the general consensus. I think that there were like people still living here for long times and not having IDs or whatever. Yeah. Which I don't know how people even get away with that, I guess, because like you said, I have had to show an ID every time I voted, or like you need specific information like your registration area and all that stuff, like which you wouldn't have if you hadn't registered to vote already, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think through what I'm trying to say, so I will just speak it out loud, and I might have to pull it back because it might not make sense. it's weird that for something like this, where like with the voting rights, we are allowed to use data and say, well, the people who are most likely to not have an ID are people of color. Because I feel like when you're looking at statistics and data of around like people who are killed by cops, or people who are wrongfully convicted, or people who are convicted of minor felonies, or like things like, selling drugs. It's not like, if you look at statistics, it's really not that centered against a certain group. And if you try to bring up that point, well, then it's racist. But now you can bring up statistics in this point, and it's racist to ignore those statistics. Does that make any sense? Because that's what I feel like I see a lot.
I get what you're saying, and I guess to that I take it back to where you said there's scientists disputing every, like if one person says this thing, another scientist can say that, right? Like you can find different statistics, different studies that will dispute whatever you're saying everywhere. Like, so I think that's why it's so important to be able to have your own opinion, and you say what you want openly and freely, and be able to discuss that. And okay, like, shoot, that makes sense. Look at these numbers aren't that different. So why am I thinking this way? Is it because this is all I've been told and this is all everyone's talking about, right? I feel like that's how I was like started. I guess since we're sheep, I guess that's how I started waking up. I don't know.
No, I think I hear where you're going. And if I'm understanding it correctly, I'll relate it to something that's completely not controversial. Because the more and more you see things, the more and more it's like on your mind. Right. For example, I never, ever, ever liked Jordans, like the shoes. I fucking never liked them. And now I started following like these Twitter accounts that like post about like different dates that shoes drop, because there's a certain Nike shoe that I want, and it's not Jordans, it's like Blazers. Yeah. Because it's a paint splatter blizzard or Blazers. Jesus Christ, I just had a fucking heart attack. Paint splatter Blazers. I think they're really cool. Either way, started following this, and now every single day I'm seeing Jordans posted on my timeline, like consistently, like 20, 30 posts a day. And I'm like, the more I look at them, the more I'm kind of intrigued by them. Yeah. Which is weird, because that was never my opinion, but it's like now I'm seeing all these people interact with it, and subconsciously am I thinking like, oh, maybe I do like those. Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you said that, how you see that more often interacting and stuff like that. I've been trying to, like, on Twitter especially, like, take control of the algorithm, and it kind of works, like, just favorite some tweets that you want to see more of. You don't have to follow these people. You can, but, like, just start favoriting tweets that you want to see, like, more content and stuff like that, and eventually, like, they'll just pop up, and your feed will be completely different. And that's I kind of wanted to mention that about mental health and stuff like that too. Like, like, what are you following? What are you absorbing? Like, that stuff, we don't realize it, but it has a huge effect on us. And it definitely had a huge effect on me. Like I said before, like, my views were so strong and centered, and I was just like, yes or no. There's no in between. Just like how people are now. And I was like, this is so messed up. And then, yeah.
So I will say, I haven't quite figured out the algorithm on Twitter, and maybe it's just because I just like a bunch of bullshit. But on TikTok, it's found out like my feed is exactly the videos I like to watch. Like, that's why I spent like 4 hours on it. But
I'm so glad I never downloaded that.
Oh, dude, it's great, but it also takes away a lot of time. Yeah. But I only go on like once a week, but it just ends up being like for like 3 hours. But that could be something like, to my brother's point, he said on the podcast, like, they wouldn't be marketing this shit if people weren't digesting it. So it's like, yeah, if you're cognizant of what you're liking on Twitter and you change what you're liking so that way you see less negative shit, yeah, it can work in your favor. But the thing is, we are liking the negative shit.
Right, you have to be conscious of what you're absorbing, I feel like. You can't just take it in and go out your day, because your brain remembers that. And, like, if we're, like, what, they say it takes, like, repeating something 7 times to make it, like, absorb it, or make, like, what, doing something a certain time to make it a habit or something, right? So, like, that's not any different than what we're absorbing online and stuff, right? If we're constantly seeing this stuff over and over and over again, then there it is. It's just there.
Yeah, I will say, like, for the Twitter thing, like, because I like have like sarcastic and maybe dark humor, I think the algorithm like fucks with me because I'll see something that is a joke.
Yeah.
About like if it's, let's say it's politics, they're joking either about the left side or the right side. I'll like it because I think it's funny, and then they'll start showing me more and more like political tweets, and it's like, well, I don't want to see this. I'm okay with the joke, but like the algorithm doesn't seem to be able to decipher it. So it's like, well, then if I want to get that off my feed, I have to just stop looking jokes that are sarcastic. But that's the shit I like to see. So it's like, it is hard. Like if you said you take control of the algorithm, good for you.
Not 100%, you know.
Yeah.
But like it's still random, but I realize like, oh wow, like this is actually kind of like working. Like I'll see more. Like if I want to find out more, like right now, my friend and I were getting more into penny stocks after the whole Dogecoin, like boost and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we talked about Doge a little bit.
Yeah. Doge bought me a new lens in my first G Master, which are.
You sold your Doge?
I didn't. I mean, some of it to buy that lens.
How much?
I still have.
Did you have a lot?
Yeah. Because I bought it when I told you when Jamin told me about it at a penny.
And you bought a lot?
I only bought $50 then. But then I bought like 2 more times when it dipped down. So my average is still under a penny.
So how many shares did you have most?
Like almost 7,000 shares.
Okay. I think I have like 3,000.
Okay.
But I dropped like $4 in it 2 years ago when it was less than a penny.
Yeah.
And then it's just been spiking up, and I haven't sold it because I'm just gonna water it, watch it grow for 10 years, and then hopefully be rich. Or maybe I'll just lose $5.
Yeah.
So
that's what my thinking. Like I only have $125 in there, and it's giving me I already showed you, so that's fine.
yeah. But sorry to cut you off. What were you saying about penny stocks though? Like you started getting into that. What was your point?
Oh, so I just started. Like I followed this one girl who I don't know shit about stocks either. So like, but I followed this one girl who was pushing out like a lot of good content. I looked through her profile and stuff like that, and then I just started favoring her tweets. People who like responded to her and stuff like that, I started favoring their tweets. And then now, if I go on Twitter, like I'll see stuff for different accounts and stuff like that, different brokerages for penny stocks and stuff like that. Like it just pops up. I guess it'd be the same for Instagram too, but Instagram's a lot worse. I've tried doing that on Instagram too, and it's a lot worse.
Like from accounts you followed. Oh, see.
Yeah.
I don't even understand. I never go on the explore page.
Yeah, neither did I.
I will say I feel like Instagram is weird because I feel like it used to show you everybody's picture just in the order that it came out in, and I don't think it does now because
I hate Instagram now. It's so
I feel like I cannot go on Instagram the entire day, and I'm following like 300 people, and I'll see like 10 posts.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and I'll see like yours from the podcast page like 2 days after you post it. Like
so I don't get the algorithm because I liked it how it was where I saw it when it was posted by who, like anybody I follow, because now it's like, well, did I miss somebody's
I think
shit?
everybody liked it that way.
Yeah, well, they never changed it back.
Yeah, stupid.
But I feel like if it wasn't like if they were losing like users, they would have changed it back.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too, and not just. And I'm not like calling you on whatever, but not just like with social media. But I feel like a lot of people like will say shit that they don't like, but then continue to use it. For example, and I'm this way with like Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't dislike Amazon, but I do. I would like to support small businesses, and I would like to support like take away from big tech, but I still use it because it's so fucking convenient, and to me there's not really an alternative. Like it's just what I use. Or like again with like being like I like to think that I'm sustainable. Like I like thinking green, but there's lots of things I could do better about it. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like people make us think about shit, but then don't really ever do anything.
Yeah, it's just even if you're like, I guess like you said, you like being sustainable. Like you'll probably have like 100% like recycle or whatever, but that's just like I feel like a marketing scheme, right? Like if you look deeper into that company or how they made that product, I bet you it's not sustainable at all. It's just the label.
I know, and it makes you feel good because like you think you're and so that's funny because my brother said that. I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was like at our dinner before the podcast, but he was saying like, and I might I might fuck up what he was saying pretty badly, but he was basically saying like anything, like the only word like on food that actually means it is what it is like organic. You can say like on the package, like from farm to table, and it literally still might be fucking really processed. Or like there's so many different marketing words that you can put on there that make it seem like it's really good for you, and unless it says organic or like there's like two different like markings for it. And if it doesn't say those, it can say anything else, and people will believe that it's, you know, super good for them, and it's not at all.
Yeah, I realized that when I was working at the meat factory.
Oh,
We
God.
obviously made lots of different products for lots of different companies. And the only thing that was different was the sticker we're putting on that. It's the same product. But yeah, we put USDA approved on there. It's the same product as the other one where we put the sticker for a different brand. It's no different. And that's what made me realize, I'm like, damn, every company probably does the same exact thing.
It's marketing.
Right.
Dude, and that's the thing. Marketing is like so powerful. It's literally in everything we do, because it's centered around power and money, because it's about selling an idea or selling power or gaining power by selling something. So like everything's a fucking marketing.
Right.
And we're all fucking like victims of that, or really not victims, but contributors, because we're buying what's being marketed to us in all these different capacities.
And I guess we don't care to that extent to take it to the next level, I guess, to change that, right? Or like we feel powerless to it in a way. I guess.
And so that's in that regard, I would say I understand like don't be a sheep mentality, because you shouldn't just like blindly follow life. But also, like, if you're happy with it,
why not? Yeah,
why not?
What's wrong with that?
Also, but for the people who do say, like, don't find, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? Is you going to the shop, not wearing a mask, and, like, getting kicked out, changing anything?
Exactly. It's
just pissing everybody around you off, even if people agree with what you're doing. Like,
right.
They don't want to wear masks, but they see you doing that. It's just going to piss everybody off.
Yeah.
Or make them uncomfortable. So it's like, people will say these things, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, they'll say these things like they've identified a problem that can be fixed, but what are they doing to fix it?
That's been a reoccurring conversation with someone really close to me at the moment.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I won't get into it, but yeah.
Do I know this person?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about the topic of mental health, right? Like, I've put myself through stuff. I feel like I've slowly overcome stuff and then getting better and better, right? So I try giving advice. You know, I'm like, this is what I did. This is what I'm doing. This is what I continue to do. This is what helped me. Like, you know, learn from my advice. Take it if you want. You know, do these things. And then, you know, okay. So I'm like, what did you do? Like, what are you doing?
It's not anything you said.
No. And they are doing it, but like, you know, they're not seeing immediate results. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna go fall back.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Those times are hard, but like, so like for me personally, like I did a lot of like I started reading books and all that stuff. I started taking these like little tips and tricks and stuff, and I started applying them daily. And after like over a year, like I started seeing little results, and I was like, oh wow, like this is cool. I want to keep on like doing more and like digging deeper into this stuff. So like I'm still getting better every day, but like those things help me, so like I try, you know, pass it on.
Yeah. And I think that's the dude, and like giving advice is like a weird thing for me, because I've always been one like big on giving advice. Like I feel like I always gave good advice, and then it's kind of like no one ever took it. Yeah.
I'm not good at advice. It's just this person's really close to me. I'm very blunt. If you're close to me, you know how blunt I am. Like, I am straight up. I don't know where I was going with it, but yeah, I'm not good at getting advice because I'm so blunt, straightforward. But some people, like my friends, like that. Like, if you're my close friend, I want you to tell me what's bothering you or what I did wrong, or, you know, like correct me, I guess.
No, same.
Check me.
Same. But to my point, like, I thought I gave good advice, and I started realizing people didn't always want advice. Like, it was almost annoying because they'd be like, oh, I know what to do. And I'd fucking... like,
vent, and then, which is good.
Yeah, but...
They ask for it, but they don't really, like, listen and take it in, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing, I guess. I don't know exactly the point I was trying to make with that, but I guess just something that I feel like I've noticed is that if I tried to, like, give people advice, and even if they ask for it, sometimes you should just not give advice, because what works for you might not work for this person. And by you like telling them like your opinion, even if you preface it by saying like, here's what worked for me, I don't know if it'll work for you, it's almost like, well, here's an issue that you're having that I don't think is that hard, just do this and it'll fix it. And I don't know,
that's where it gets complicated.
I don't know what the point I was trying to make. It's just, that's the thing with like mental health in particular is, I will talk about it with anybody who wants to talk about it, but I don't even know what I'm supposed to say anymore.
Right.
Because everybody, like, it's different to everybody. Some people care more than others. Some people don't know what to do. Some people think they know what to do.
Right.
And who's to, like, I'm nobody to say, like, what you should do.
Right. And that's what that's what I said. I'm like, you know, like, dude, I can keep on telling you this stuff every day you ask me to tell you this stuff. But at the end of the day, like, it's up to you. Like, you know, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a slippery slope for sure.
Yeah.
But like when people come out to you and ask you for it, it's kind of hard. You know, you want to be there, but then when, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know like what I'm trying to say. It's like I have like a bunch of different shit that I want to say, but it just goes back to, again, if people are asking you for advice and you're giving it and they don't do it, that's like the same scenario where people make a stink out of things, and then when it comes time to actually change something, they won't do it.
Right.
And I know I'm guilty of that in some different areas.
100%. Me too.
It's just weird. Like, yeah, does venting help to a certain extent? Yes. But if you keep venting about the same thing, well, obviously there's an issue that needs to be changed, or a situation that needs to be changed. So why don't you just fucking change it?
Right.
But it's not that hard. It's not that easy.
Right.
Like I can tell you something that bothers me all the time. We could hang out and I'll tell you the same thing that bothers me all the time. And actually, I've done this with like, there's certain friends who I will confide in and say, "Oh, this is fucking pissed me off." And like, I feel like I've been a broken record for, you know, it could be years or months for a certain topic, and they're like, "Why don't you just fucking do something different then?
Yeah.
Change what you're doing, and then give me." It's like, oh, I know the answer. I know what I.
It's just doing it.
It's just like, I don't know. I guess I'm more comfortable bitching.
Yeah.
It's just weird that like we don't want to take action.
It's like our bodies, right? They're comfortable. It's like breaking that habit, like forming the new habit, I guess, of thinking differently or doing a different action, whatever, right?
Yeah, I guess it's like the fear of the unknown, or like just the lack of willingness to want to give effort to change something. Even if like you're not scared of like what's gonna happen, just like, do I really want to? Do I really want to give that much effort?
If you're like mentally like hating yourself or hating that thing, like you're just so comfortable doing it or living your life like that without even thinking about it. You're just repeating those daily things, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so. That's what I was saying to my brother on the episode. Well, I didn't say this, but I asked him like, because he said he went through a time where he was like in debt, and so did I. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I consistently saw my credit card balance. And I consistently knew that I was spending way more than I was earning. But it was almost just like, well, I've almost fucking gotten used to it now. Yeah. So I might as well just, like, it's so much more work to pay it all off than just to keep, you know, living within this threshold. So I might as well just fucking keep doing it. You know, even though I know that that's not the right thing to do. Yeah. So it's so hard to make that, all right, I gotta fucking get a grip of this.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few things I've been wanting to like stop doing for years now, and I still do it on the daily, right? Like,
yeah. And is it bad? Like, it's
like I've convinced myself that these things are bad, and I'm like, okay, like I need to stop. Maybe I'll do better, but like, I just haven't, I guess. But then there's other things where I feel like, okay, I need to get this stuff like sorted out, and I have. So like,
yeah,
but it's not like. It doesn't never come back and like haunt me or something for a day or something, right? But like at least I know how to handle those situations.
Yeah, I feel like if it affects somebody, at least for me, I'll try to change it.
Yeah,
I'll try.
Yeah,
but if it affects me, I'm really bad about like, well, if it's only affecting me, I can just deal with it.
Yeah,
but yeah, dude, I don't know. But I don't know. Is there any other point you want to make there?
No, I guess no.
Okay.
I don't even know we went off with that one.
We kind of went all over the place, and honestly, I apologize. It's a Friday. We're recording this on a Friday, so it's like my brain at the end of the week, especially this week, is just fucking drained.
Yeah, congrats on announcing your next big My Hood announcement. That's cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, it's fitting that we're kind of talked about mental health, but I guess this can be a good time to turn it to you for your mental health tip. I know you probably know that I like to end these with like a mental health tip. So anything that you do to achieve good mental health, or I know you've said like there's a lot of things you've been working on recently it's helped you, obviously. Yeah. So what would be a tip or tips?
One thing is I always thought like very negatively at first, so eventually I started, I don't even know where I read it, but like maybe it was a tweet, I don't know, but from every negative situation you find yourself in or you put yourself in, like just try to take one positive thing away from that. It can be the smallest little thing, and just focus on that, and I guarantee you that situation will be a little bit different. And then I guess another thing that I always thought about, but I noticed it again today, and I was like, that'll be a good point to make, is like doing a favor for someone else or making someone smile or something. Like that just brings instant joy to your face. Like I saw someone do that today at the store earlier, and like I was like, wow, I didn't even do that thing, but that made me happy seeing the other person get happy. So like, yeah, I think like those would be two of my mental health tips that are guaranteed to work.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would say I like them both. And one thing I'll say too, to like your second one of like helping people, for one, I agree. I think that's a great way to feel like good because you're helping. I think human nature, like everyone feels good when they help somebody. Now, maybe more people do it than others, but when you actually do help somebody, it feels good.
Yeah.
But one thing I feel like people say is like, oh, but if you're helping people just to make yourself feel good, it's selfish. It's like,
yeah.
Is it though? Like you're still helping the person because you want to help them.
And now, it can be like the smallest thing. Like it's not a big deal.
I know, but like, I guess if you're helping them and then like you put yourself on a pedestal because you help them, okay, well maybe there's like a small fraction of it that's like, okay, well you're just kind of looking for whatever. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I
guess from like nothing big or major, right? Just like a little thing, like they dropped something, like pick it up or something, like like that's what I saw. That's not what I saw, pretty much, but they needed $1 or something to give them like 50, whatever it was, and she got happy from that. I don't know.
Yeah, or like paying for the next person in the drive-thru.
Yeah, people do that.
It's happened to me one time, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, and then I did it one time, like separate from that time, and I was like, dude, I feel so good. Like I don't even know what the price was because I never got a receipt from Dairy Queen in Garden City or Dearborn. I was like, oh, I was just feeling good. Yeah. Dude. I'm like, fucking school just ended. Like, let me buy their drinks or whatever. And I don't know if it was like a family or not, so I don't know what the charge was. But I felt so good about it. I'm like, dude, and like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be frowned upon if I shared that. Like, oh, look what I did, because I think you should try it. Not look what I did because I'm so great. Because
you don't need to share that though, right? Like I'm sharing it with you because it's like a tip. You don't need to go around and telling someone like, hey, I did this. Yeah. Just do it for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think that's selfish.
I agree, but I also don't think it's selfish if I was like hanging out with somebody afterwards. I'm like, oh, dude, like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. I tried this today. Like I have, but like, like if I post on like Twitter, it's like, oh, I did this today. Felt great. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, okay, maybe it's a little weird, but if I just did that and then you came over and we were just kind of chatting, like, oh, dude, like, I don't know. I guess it would, if I just brought it up out of nowhere, it'd be kind of weird, but like...
Yeah, like, is it the main point, or is it just, like, another thing you sneak in there?
No, I think it'd be something, like, for example, when I was telling... I don't know who I even told about it that day I did it, but I was more like, dude, I did this, I was in a good mood, it felt good. I just feel like you should try it.
Yeah.
Like, it feels good, so I guess maybe it's like a tip, and I guess maybe nobody asked for it, but... Point being, I like your tip because I think helping others, whether it be paying for somebody's drive-through meal or just even just like noticing other people and just like giving a time of day of saying, hey, what's up, instead of just walking right past them with a blank stare or not even looking at them, can be good.
Do you like reading?
Do I like reading? No.
No, okay, never mind.
Kind of. I mean, so I have those 2 books.
Okay.
How to Win Friends and Influence People is one of my favorite books. I've read that consistently. And then Simone, shout out Simone, she told me to buy Sapiens. And so it's like I think it's like a book about mankind, or like the anthropology type. I haven't started it yet, but I bought it. I plan to read it. So I do read sometimes. I'm a big like TV and movies like buff. So like most of my time spent doing that. But if I find a good book, I will read it. But I'm not one to like read like stories like Harry Potter and shit. Like I'll read
like informational books.
Okay,
cool. I still have like Carla's present for Christmas in my car. It's a wrapped up book. I've never taken to the UPS store or give it to her when she came to visit. So maybe I'll give that to you instead of her.
Oh, well, I could just send it to her. I plan on going there soon, so.
Yeah.
Because when we went, nothing was fucking open.
Nothing's even open. Is everything open now?
I don't know.
How
but
come?
So I mean, she's gonna be there for at least a little bit longer. So,
Yeah.
And this could be off the podcast, but I mean, it's on it. Whatever. I plan on going over there when like shit's open, so we can go like see a little bit more of like the nightlife. Because it was great to see Carla, but it was not like DC. I think has more to offer than what we saw. But anyway, now we're just getting off topic. But regardless, I like your mental health tip. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Again, you brought up the My Hood thing. So if you're listening to this, there's hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, kids hoodies, crew necks, and like hats that are going to be on sale from May 3rd to the end of the month. And all the proceeds go to the Children's Foundation to help raise money for children's mental health. So get on that. It was designed by all my guests' tips of good mental health and of the people who commented on a Facebook post about a year ago. And then it was all taken and designed by Thomas Hamilton, who is one of the most creative people I know. So it's really cool, supporting local artists and also supporting a good cause. So go check that out. Thank you again, Keyur, for coming on. You got the number 22 episode that you wanted. I'm glad you came. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, just reach out. Instagram is TIMM Podcast, so is the Facebook, or you can text me or find a way to get a hold of me. But anyway, until next week, guys. See you later.